Okay, so back to these streamlined mounds here. They show a current of sheet water flow coming across here. They don't have anything to do with ice. Notice how there's rivers coming right between these drumlins. That's an indication of fluvial forces. And you can't overlook all the salt lakes around them. So these drumlins were actually clearly made from an ocean current, right? The ocean current flowed right through here. As you can see, you've got kind of a path that came through here. You can see a path that went through here, a path that went through here, kind of a curving path. But these drumlins here are very impressive and very straight. And you can go over to this spot here and see drumlins as well. And all sorts of circular scours filled with salt. This is all textbook high-speed water erosion. And can actually sneak over here, find some drumlins going uphill. See these drumlins here? They're showing, and this is the front, and they're streamlined going this way. So this is actually a streamlined feature showing a water current going uphill. It's a very gradual uphill. In the scheme of things, it's not a big deal as far as the elevation change, but because it's a sweeping current, that makes drumlins. So these were formed deep underwater. These probably, I don't know, 50 feet deep, more. And we also see all these lakeshore lines and river terraces and river ruts climbing up this hill. So it's almost like instead of river terraces, you got river ruts traversing the landscape here. Something we also find in Russia and stuff. But what these drumlins are really showing is that there was sheet water flow that flowed down here. And this has nothing to do with glaciers. And there's a massive I did a video on this river here, or this river channel, from bank to bank. This guy is 36 miles. And then you zoom in, see the smaller river terraces. As it decreased, it leaves the cliff and terrace step sequence. Here's a 6.2 mile wide river. And then it goes down to showing a 3.6 mile wide river. But what flows today is only let's see how many feet it is. 160 feet. So there's a big difference. This is clearly showing a massive decrease of water. And what type of water? Well, there's salt all over the place, so I'm going with the ocean on that. Okay, now we're in Canada, way up north. See some beautiful drumlins that curve incredibly quickly and make such a detailed pattern. So you guys really think that an ice sheet made that? I mean, you'd be going against the top scientists if you thought anything other than an ice sheet made that. But to me, that's just ridiculous. This is clearly from a curving water current. And then you've got the mounds, also known as the most widespread geologic mystery that's incredibly easy to solve. And you go over here, and this is just mound and drumlin country. So a drumlin's really just a streamlined mound in a lot of places. See, these are all streamlined. And I really like studying drumlins because you can really get a good idea of where the water current went and how it curved, Right, this is clearly an ocean current that curved and then went right back into the ocean again. And that's what drumlins are. And you can, let's see if we can find a directional one. It seems like the direction is, seems like this would be the front and that would be the tail. But yeah, all over this place, there's all sorts of drumlins and mounds. And look at this here. Look at how you get a nice arcing turn and then it shoots right through here. So you get overlapping water currents. This is very chaotic. It's evidence of very chaotic water flow. So yeah, that's what happens when you go up north and study drumlins, is you find out it has nothing to do with ice, but everything to do with sheet water flow. And then you look at how all of these islands are separated out by massive, perfectly straight and massive river channels. It really all starts coming together quite seamlessly. That's what all these features are, river channels. And then you got all the drumlins in there to support that. Okay, now let's go to Cyprus. Right, this is in the Mediterranean. Now this little spot right here is cool because you've got a nice little lake. That's actually a directional lake. You can tell that this would be the scarp edge and that would be the tail, based upon its triangular shape. And when you zoom in, there's actually drumlins here. Now they updated it so that there's more water in it and you can't really see that these are drumlins as well. But these are drumlin features all across the bottom of this lake. So luckily I got some data from a few months ago that shows it better. Okay, so you can see how the ocean current was just wrapping along and it flowed right over that little peninsula like it was no problem. And let's go to my favorite spot in Australia. And we find a lot of sediment lobes that are so straight you could classify them as drumlins. Right, you could call these drumlins, but they're really sediment lobes. But look at these ridges here. These are basically drumlins. And then right at the end, you can see the rounded shape to them and see how that they're actually made from, made into a sediment lobe formation. And yeah, so that's over this whole entire area. I mean, this is a feature you find over all the coastlines. I don't have enough time to show you all the coastlines. But just go to the coast and you'll find it. It's there. It's evidence of an ocean current sweeping over land. It's quite prominent. Here we got some nice sediment lobes. And let's go, I think this is Nambia. And you can see how this is a streamlined feature here. The water went here and went on both sides of this feature to streamline it. And we see how the sediment lobes reacted to this elevation change. And then they wrapped around and made drumlin formations. And these are all drumlins here, / sediment lobes. I mean, the thing with fluid dynamics is a lot of features kind of overlap. You know, you get ripples kind of shaped like sediment lobes, you get drumlins shaped like sediment lobes, you get all sorts of overlapping and intermingling features. But then here we go. Now this is perfect drumlin examples. And then you've got, what do you find perpendicular to drumlins? Ripples. I mean, that's just textbook erosion right here. Sheet water flow makes parallel paths, and perpendicular to parallel paths are ripples. Really doesn't get any more simple than that. And then when they interact, they make mounds sometimes. But yeah, these are definitely drumlins, and they're not made by the ice. They're much more correlated with the ocean. And then so you've got these features here, and you've got the ripples right next to them, indicating fluvial origin. Now it's tricky because some of these, there's a lot of trade winds here, and some of these features can actually move from the wind because they have a slip edge, and wind can move something over a slip edge, but that doesn't mean it created the whole formation. Like these accretion ridges here, wind definitely can't create an accretion ridge like that. There's no way. So this is telling us exactly where water was pushing up and depositing the these features and creating these features here in this streamlined scour. Ripples all over the place. Let's get an idea of the 2,700 feet. You know, that's just crazy. All of this is just so perfect. Just take it in. So you got accretion ridges, and now when we go up to this spot in Nambia, these are drumlins. I kind of thought they were ripples, actually. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. But now I'm thinking they're actually drumlins because these are the ripples, right? These are what formed perpendicular to the water flow. And then these are what form parallel to the water flow. But of course, all of these currents were very chaotic, and so the lines get very blurred, but this is the perpendicular and then the parallel. You know what, I'm going to go to California real quick, just to show you guys some sick sediment lobes. So this feature confused me for a while because I couldn't, this is before I really started figuring things out. And I thought this was from an offshore current and that these were streamlined formations. But then once I realized that they were sediment lobes and that they were pushed up and then pushed inland, then it made sense when I went over to this spot and seen how they're pushed up and they kind of wrap around this point here. So these were pushed by the current. And trying to find why. There she is. And we find the same thing. Sediment lobes. So this is basically saying that the ocean flowed completely over this entire landmass here, creating these sediment lobes. It's very interesting. Okay, that's all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. And make sure to subscribe and tell your friends about this stuff. If this blows your mind, I'm sure it'd blow the mind of your friends, and they would also find it enjoyable. And yeah, I'll keep showing you guys more stuff all the time. So stay tuned. Hit the notification bell. And I'll show you about the English channel and its double expansion bar pattern. Oh, you know what's cool about this spot here? Oh, it's over here, this spot. Check this out. Expansion bar, shallow cataract cove. 1, 2, 3 right next to each other. How dense is that? Let's check the width. Miles. It's decent. All right, that's it for this video. Thanks, guys.